Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Candi's production. Hanging Out with the Cowboys, Part 2. Now, this ain't my first rodeo. And I'm pretty sure with all these cowboys I got here, it is not their first rodeo either. And they're going to tell us a little bit about their first rodeo. But first, we're going to have the Cowboy Prayer by Mr. Harold Cash. Cowboys?
Let us all bow. Dear Heavenly Father, we are paused in the midst of this occasion, giving honor and thanks to Thee for making it possible. Life for tomorrow is not promising, but dear God, we know You can make it everlasting. You are the guided light, and You can make it shine in the very, very darkness of night. For all the things that You can do, dear God, as a cowboy, we'll ask no special favors, not to help from keeping breaking a barrier in a time event, or even drawing a horse that's a cinch to win. And whatever You do, dear God, don't make us above normal, while we might ride a bull that's never been rode, but give us the strength to perform in the best of our ability. And Lord, when we make that last ride, let that be the ride into Your heaven. Where the grass, we don't really know. It might grow a lush green. It might even grow stirrup high. You as our found judge, tell us that our entry fees have been paid in full. These blessings we ask in Your name. Let us all say amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to keep in our prayer Bailey Prayer Kid and Mr. Murtis Dykeman. Thank you. Amen.
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 All right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let these cowboys tell us a little bit about their first rodeo and let them introduce themselves from my left to my right.
Sammy Phillips of West Columbia, Texas, and my first rodeo was high school.
Bubba Boone, Houston, Texas, and I started rodeoing in high school as well.
Ben Legg Stevenson from Houston, Texas, and my first rodeo was also high school.
Harold Cash, my first rodeo was in Killington, Texas.
Okay. Well, now, see, I have all these cowboys here, and they told us a little bit about their first rodeos. And I see that they have a lot of belt buckles and plaques and pictures and stuff like that, and we're going to find out a little bit more about them. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Okay, caller, you're on the air.
Oh, hi.
Hello?
Hello, hi. This call is from Mr. Sammy Phillips.
Yes, ma'am.
For the black rodeos, the Cowboys, what motivated you as a youngster to falling in love with your art?
Well, my father was a calf roper, and that's what I liked to do. I liked to see him rope, and he was pretty good.
Okay. Then what do you suggest for the youngsters, for this new jack generation that, to bring us up to speed? Because I love horses, but everything is zoned. We can't really do anything anymore. Any suggestions, Mr. Samuel, how we can bring the love back to our kids?
Well, if you're youngsters like horses and stuff, just take them out, take them out to a rodeo and let them introduce them to cowboys and stuff, and maybe somebody will let them ride their horse as long as they have your permission.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is there any other questions?
That's gonna do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for calling. Thank you so much. Okay, caller, you're on the air.
That one now.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Cash, you were the only cowboy not raised on a farm.
That's right. I was raised in the concrete jungle of Texas City, Texas.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather had a ranch in Kendleton, Texas, and I would be a cowboy 3 months out of a year, but I had to come back to Texas City and Lamarck and go to school. So being the valedictorian of the rodeo school, I've probably been the one less likely to succeed, but I made it.
Okay, we have a little short, little film of something about you. Let us watch a little bit of that. Let us see what Mr. Cash is up to.
Harold Cash grew up during the era when the civil rights movement was changing the landscape of the country. Significant changes in the campaign for greater equality that he drew inspiration from. Changes that molded the man he was to become. Harold was born in December of 1948 in Galveston, Texas, and upon graduation from Lincoln High in Lamarck, he embarked on a career as a rodeo competitor in the All-American Rodeo Association. He had exceptional abilities in bareback riding, giving each of the powerful untamed Broncos he rode his all. Harold thrilled crowds at rodeos across the country with his inspired winning performances. It was this grit, courage, and desire that also won him the respect of his fellow cowboys. His success in the rodeo arena made him a role model at a time when there were but few African American cowboys. Since moving on from competition, Harold has devoted himself to serving as a mentor to the youth of today. To quote Harold, "Without the sport of rodeo, I probably would not have graduated from college. Until this day, I have gratitude for the discovery and innovations of rodeo. My primary goal was to start a college scholarship fund in Galveston County for underprivileged students trying to attend college needing financial assistance. As of today, I have provided over 20 scholarships." Over the years, Cash has been involved with the Black History Writers of America, the Over the Hill Rodeo Association, the Galveston County Fair and Rodeo. He is a charter member of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and the current president of the All-American Youth Rodeo Association. In 2000, Harold retired from Amoco after 27 years of service. It was those changes that came from the civil rights movement, the hard work and inspiration from each wild bronc he danced with for 8 seconds, the satisfaction of seeing the qualities of hard work and caring passed on to future generations. All that made him the man he was to become, and it earned him an honorary resolution in the state of Texas House of Representatives in February of 2009. It's now our privilege to honor him as a recipient to the 2010 National Multicultural Western Heritage Museum's Hall of Fame.
Ooh-wee! Didn't I tell you I was sitting around some cowboys today? Mr. Cash, awesome.
Thank you.
Accomplished a lot. Tell us a little bit about that.
That Multicultural Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
It was a Hall of Fame in Fort Worth, Texas, that was created by Jim Austin and Gloria Austin. At first was the Black Cowboy of Color Hall of Fame, but they exposed articles not for just black cowboys, and they did the National Multicultural Hall of Fame.
Oh.
We got blacks, whites, everybody. And since that
Yes.
happened, we have had black cowboys. That was the hardest thing to do for a black cowboy to get into a Hall of Fame. But we have people in the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame, the Bull Riders Hall of Fame, and different Hall of Fames,
Now,
The doors are open.
I hear a lot about this Hall of Fame thing. How does that work?
Well, you have to be nominated to get into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But it always been a slow roll
Yeah.
for blacks getting into the Hall of Fame. The Bull Riders Hall of Fame, we have Mr. Bill Putman, which is, we have Murtis Dykeman,
Yes.
we have Willie Thomas Sr., which is the guys are idols of mine, and Charlie Sampson. And you got the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. You got a lot of black cowboys that's in the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Right,
and the doors are open in the Boone, the Cowboy, the Hall of Fame in Giddings, Texas.
In Giddings, Texas.
It's the South Texas Cowboy Ring of Honor.
Yeah. And that's,
Giddings, Texas.
Oh, okay.
so the doors are opening for blacks to get into the Hall of Fame now, which was a odd thing. Different other Hall of Fame. In the Colorado Hall of Fame, you have to be a world champion
Wow.
to get there. But Meredith Dykeman, in August, 3 or 4 years ago, was the only black that never won the world. Because I was up there, they put Meredith Guard into the Cowboy Hall of Fame in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And Meredith was probably a guy should have been a lot of world champions.
Oh yeah.
But it just wasn't time for a black man. But he did teach Charlie Sampson, and who became the first champion bull rider? 1982. Charlie Sampson won the world in the bull riding. We got Fred Whitfield, that won 6 or 7 and an all-around. The doors are open now.
Wow.
We got 3 guys that are going to make the final this year. I'm almost sure, if not 4.
Yeah.
Shad Mayfield, John Douch, and Corey Solomon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
All right.
in December, yeah. So the doors are open for Cowboy, and somebody asked Sammy a question about how you get a start.
Yes.
But I would say if you're going to just ride, if you're going to be a cowboy, send your kids to some school. Charlie Sampson, they got all kind of roping and riding schools. Because when you start off the wrong way, like we do so many times, it's hard to break that habit, not just in rodeo and in anything else.
Right.
It's hard to break that habit. Send them to a school and let them start off right.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, Mr. I know this man. Stevenson. Oh, I got this.
Yeah.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah.
Bad bodacious man.
Bodacious.
One of the baddest bulls this side of the world. In the world.
That's right.
And out of 7 people, you were able to ride that bull.
Yeah.
Tell us something about that, Mr. Stevenson.
It was one of those deals. Riding bulls is 75% mental, and about 25%. But, I hadn't won any money in the rounds, and I was just hoping and praying, that I'd just draw me a spinner that would, where I could win me a check. So, the short round comes around, and they draw the bulls, and I got J31. What is that? J31. Everybody else is like wiping sweat off their brow, I'm like, J31. And they told me it was bodacious. I said, oh, Lord, I didn't really need him. I needed to win some money. So I said, well, I got to do what I got to do. And
Yes, sir.
He was really, really tough to get out on, what you call tough to get out on. He was, he'd jump around in the box and try and kind of hurt you in that,
Yes.
So, I said my prayers and put my rope on him, and it was time for business. And, he didn't move in there.
Wow.
And the gate swung open, and it was one of those deals where you kind of in a zone. I couldn't tell you what happened, because it was just one of those rides when you're in the zone,
Because now he broke Tough's face, didn't he?
And you didn't get away from him without stitches of broken bones.
Right.
Yeah.
That's bad bodacious.
Yeah. I got 7 stitches right here, and
Wow.
and $7,000.
Oh, wait a minute. Was it worth it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
It was a thrill of it, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Just to know if you just rode bodacious.
Oh yeah.
But then they retired him, bodacious. But he had a sire, didn't he?
He had several.
Wow. Wow.
But he was kind of a freak athlete. He didn't really put it in his calves. You know? He had a few. And but when they crossed him with other great sires,
Yes.
they came up with some good bulls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got them.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bubba.
Yes, ma'am.
Look like I see some pictures down there, or some buckles and some things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us about some of those things, items you have?
Okay. As you stated at the beginning of the show, I grew up in rodeo and started out in high school and this was one of my favorite high school shots here. This was in Sampson, Texas, and I won the first place in bull riding at a high school rodeo. And also, I started riding bareback horses, and this is one in Somerville, Texas.
Ooh-wee.
And then there were, just several different rodeos. This was bareback riding in Cheek, Texas. And this was bareback riding in Jackson, Mississippi.
Wow.
But I was most noted for riding bareback horses instead of bulls. Although I did get on bulls a lot and rode bulls for many years, I was known to enter the steer wrestling, and I was also known to get on a few saddle bronc horses. So that's why I get the all-around title.
Oh,
but
okay.
like I say, I grew up in and around rodeo, and that's all I ever wanted to do was rodeo.
In the blood.
In the blood, that's right. My
Needy.
father was a steer wrestler and a saddle bronc rider. He was also the president of the Southwestern National Rodeo Association in the Houston area, and that was in 1967. He also won the steer wrestling championship, and I come from a long line of cowboys. I had a cousin, Clint Woich. He was a champion bull rider.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, like I say, my whole family was in and around rodeos and ranching.
Yes, sir. I keep saying, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Mr. Phillips, I see that you have some buckles and pictures and plaques, but these are different. What are these buckles about?
Well, these buckles here, first of all, I grew up in a long line of rodeos and horsemanship and cattlemen's and stuff like that with my father and stuff, and my parents. We had rodeos. But this buckle here was one in New York. We was on a tour every summer in New York, and this is 1987, and I'm showing to everybody. And I won both of these in '87.
Okay. Now, what is this plaque? What does this mean? What does it mean when it says all around cowboy? What does all around cowboy actually mean?
That means that if you work more than one event, and I was working 2 or more events, and worked the steer wrestling, worked the calf roping, and worked the bareback riding.
Okay. So, Mr. Cash, so a cowboy literally would have sometimes more than one event that they made. Maybe you rode bulls and Broncos?
Yeah, I rode bareback, specialized in the bareback riding, but I have rode bulls. But I had fear for them bulls, and a whole lot of people say they don't, but I don't never see nobody get up and run back into them. They're always running away.
Why did you have a fear? What put the fear in you from the bull?
The big beast.
The beast.
Yeah.
The beast
and
and
I
the
rode.
bull.
I have won money in the bull riding. But I always had fear for the big bulls. Could have been one of the best. Could have learned from one of the best, Mr. Willie Thomas Sr.
Right.
Yeah. Got another guy that should have been a lot of world champion. He just came along at a time when it wasn't time for black cowboys.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cowboys that didn't get their credit that was due.
A whole lot of them that's gone that never got the credit that they was due.
Well, we're gonna have to make sure we give them the credit that's due. And I think by us talking about it, because I mean, you guys here are just history on 2 legs. We have a lot of history right here in this room, as far as the cowboy world go. Now, when you guys was out there rodeoing and cowboy and stuff like that, did you ever think, okay, what if I get hurt and I can't rodeo anymore? What do I do?
It never crosses your mind because you love the sport so much.
That much into it?
Yeah, I mean, it never crosses your mind. But as an older guy,
Yes, sir.
you think back, what was I doing? We went across the country, no telephone, no anything. Jump in the truck and hit the road, you know.
Okay, so if you went to another rodeo with another cowboy and y'all entered anything, I just learned this the last time. I'm gonna see how smart I am. You save them. We saving the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what y'all would do. We saving the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more like a buddy,
Right.
System.
a
Big
buddy
family.
system.
Right. Right.
Cowboys sticking together. Now let me ask you this: is there a cowboy code or something, or y'all just don't want to tell me? Tell me, I won't tell nobody. We ain't gonna tell nobody.
The cowboy that really got hurt, sometime he made as much money as the guy that won first place, because Cowboys would take care of Cowboys. Just
Okay.
say if Bubba would get his leg broke.
Yeah.
When we went and see him at the rodeo, Cowboys took care of Cowboys back then. Sometime, what you win for first place, Bubba might have a broke leg. He'll leave with more money than you leave with.
Because they all kind
we
of
looked
pitch
out
in
for each
and,
other.
and look
Yeah,
out
it
for
was-
each other.
we had
So
that.
far as you're going to a rodeo or something out of town and needed a ride, you guys would just basically hitch rides and
Oh, yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and,
definitely,
and
yeah.
team up. Now, if you're at a rodeo and you're what do you call it, roping the cow, steer dogging or whatever the thing you team
Calf
roping.
roping.
Yeah.
You got to teach me more of the stuff, honey. Roping, right?
Right.
And you go to another rodeo and your horse is sick and you see him there and you need to use his horse to do that calf roping, but now his horse is used to doing another event. How would that work?
A whole lot of people, if the cowboy horse, if I'm doing the calf roping, I'm going to find somebody that got a calf roping horse. I wouldn't let you rodeo off my steer dogging horse to rope a calf.
No, that wouldn't work.
But you guys are kind of protective of your horses. You're not going to just let anybody get on your horse. You wouldn't let a person who rough ride.
Well, they would pay you a fourth.
But, yeah.
Okay.
You know, if say you ride this guy's horse and you win first place, they'll you'll pay that guy a fourth of what you win.
So everybody gonna eat,
Right.
so to say.
Right.
Oh, okay,
But for
okay.
using this horse, you would get a fourth of what you win. You would have to give to him. Yeah, you
For
keep
using
3/4
his horse and
you
give
get
him a
4th,
fourth.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's not a bad deal. You still make something if it ain't no more than gas money back home.
Right.
It's basically something.
Right.
So being the Cowboys, I guess I'm pretty sure the Cowgirls are basically the same way. Now, have any of you guys wives were Cowgirls or into the thing?
Nobody in my family but me was a cowboy.
You the
Like I
only
say, I
one.
was fool on a horse and been riding them ever since, you know.
So you did the thing, huh?
Yeah, I was fool on a horse.
Wow.
And been riding them ever since.
Wow. So this is a question I have. A person who wants to ride a Bronco, would that be better for a person with long legs or short legs, and why? Anybody can answer.
Well, it wouldn't really matter, I think, because if you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
If you have a passion for it, short legs, long legs, or whatever, you are going to be a cowboy.
That's right.
So, but now, is it harder riding a Bronco or a bull?
Personally, it's a preference.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like I say, I rode bareback horses, I rode bulls, but I enjoyed both of them because that's all I ever wanted to do was be a rodeo cowboy. And also, I want to touch on something you said about saving.
Yes.
You said about saving each other, and that pertains to if I win money, like you say, and I'm traveling with Sammy Ray, then I would give him his entry fees back, and that's what we use the term saving each other. Yeah,
Cowboy code, kind of.
Right.
Cowboys sticking together so everybody eats.
everybody eats.
Yeah.
And
That's a good thing, though,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
right.
And I traveled down the road. My first rodeo, I was taken to the rodeo by a guy from Bay City, the Davis brothers, Charlie and Elijah. I went a whole year and didn't win nan penny, but they would give my entry fees back to make the next rodeo. Saturday night in Macbeth, Texas, before the rodeo was getting over, my first win was $23. I won a third place, but it was like I had won $1 million. Your
$23.
first win, like I had won.
That's what I want to know about that first, when you got that first win, that first exhilarating, and then that first loss. Did that first loss make you say, you know what, I'm not even doing this anymore? Or did that first loss make you say, I got to do this next time better?
That first loss made me quit for about a month.
Why?
Because I drew a horse called a Brown Bomber, a horse that nobody really rode. And like I said, I started by goddamn guy opening the gate for me riding how I started. We went to help another guy ride, and I started riding by a guy opening the gate on me by me supposed to be getting the feel on the horse and be riding him. So I got the big heads, and I'm going to ride in the rodeo, and I drew that Brown Bomber.
And
it
that
looked like
Brown
somebody just
He bombed
reached and
you.
grabbed me in the back of me and slung me to the ground, and I quit for about a month.
Well, let me ask you this. What made you get back into it? If you quit, what made you get back into it?
An older cowboy, Willie Thomas Sr. See, when I grew up, it was the Lone Ranger, Roy Rogers. I'm 73. I'm a lot older than these guys.
Yeah, you're still young. Go ahead.
I didn't know nothing about black cowboys.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was black cowboys until my grandfather took me to a rodeo in Kennelton. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in the days, because I was from Texas City, rodeo cowboy. I just didn't know it was black cowboys back then.
Yeah.
So once you started basically learning more about it, it made you want to get more basically into it.
Definitely when we get on. Definitely.
So basically with a cowboy, even the first win is exhilarating.
That's it.
The first
Very.
loss makes you might want to quit, but you're going to, I'm like this, if the cowboy is in you, you're going to get back in the saddle.
That's right.
That's right.
You know, that's what they say, just get back up
Yeah.
on that horse and get back in that saddle and just ride on.
That's it.
But when you guys, and anybody can answer, wanted to be a cowboy, what made you specifically say, I want to be a bull rider, a roper, or both, or whatever? Mr. Phillips?
Well, because I was raised up around it. I mean, I just love rodeos. I grew up with it, and I tried to ride bulls, and I did fairly good. Only thing about bull riding with me, whenever if I try to get off of them, I get kicked. But roping and steer wrestling, then I started riding bareback horses. So I just love to do all the sports. I just have love for the sport.
Mr. Boone?
Same thing. It's a passion. A fire is ignited, and one of my, I wouldn't say a regret, but I wish I had went to college on a rodeo scholarship. I was offered a scholarship to Sul Ross State in Alpine, Texas, and to Tarleton State in Stephenville, Texas. But when I came out of school, I got a good job, great job. So that kind of doused my scholarship desires because I was making good money, but I was still rodeoing every weekend.
Right.
And you talk about that first win,
Yeah.
it was so exhilarating. Just like Cash said, I think I won $37 on my first win, and it was third place in Macbeth, Texas.
Macbeth.
And I tell you, man, I had started, like I say, in high school, and I was still in high school when I made that win. But we used to go to a place in Highland, Texas, and get on bulls,
Yeah.
practice bulls, and that's how I got my start. And that was in 1970. And my first rodeo was at the Diamond L Ranch, and I got bucked off, but I couldn't wait for the next weekend to get back
Get back on.
again. That's right.
Doggone.
That's right.
Okay.
Like I
Mr.
said.
Stevenson?
We raised cattle, and my dad would let me get on yearling bulls straight out of the working chute.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like this. But I saw Murtis Dykeman in 1977 get on a big Charbray. And what a Charbray is a Bramer Charlet cross.
Now, is that the bull with the hump?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And man, Murtis down in the Coliseum, Murtis rode this bull, and you could hardly see Murtis. It was dust flying. And I said, from that moment on, I'm gonna ride bulls.
Mr. Cash?
If I had to say ride him, a horse jump a whole lot harder than a bull. But if that horse would throw you, if he could keep from stepping on you, he would. And the bull is just as the opposite. He waiting for you to fall,
Because he want to step on you.
come back at you.
He's like a freight train.
I never had one that hit me, but I had one get so close. And you had blew air through them Wrangler jeans. That'll make you quit. Snorted and I felt them out. That'll make you quit.
What, do you have any injuries from your rodeo days?
I got ankle pins in this left ankle here, broke ribs. I got hook right here. You see the stitches in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been broke up pretty good. I can tell you when the weather gonna change.
Uh-oh, it just sets in there, huh? Just let you know I'm hurting. I'm
yeah,
hurting.
That's it, isn't it? And I imagine all these Cowboys.
Yeah, that's where
too.
I'm going with
You've
them.
been around.
Yeah,
Any injuries?
Yeah, I had a bunch of stitches and broken hip.
A broken hip. Okay, now let me ask you. Now I know after you had that broken hip, you didn't get back up on them bulls and horses, did you?
No, I'm still roping steers now. But when I retired, I should have retired. But I let them, there was an event here in Houston, PBR event, and I saw a bunch of my old buddies. They said, man, you still look pretty good. You look like you could strap it on one. And I got to thinking, I said, well, shoot, I could work all week and fly to those deals on the weekend. So I bought my card back. Got my card back. I mean, riding everything, winning. And it was one of those deals where your mind says you're running, but your feet aren't going anywhere. and as Father Time catches up with everybody.
Yeah, it does.
I was riding great, but I couldn't get away from them.
Wow. Okay. Mr. Boone?
Yes, my first major accident was at a high school rodeo in Simonton, Texas. A bull snatched me down on his head and broke my nose. And it was a learning experience. It taught me not to lean over him and bow down to him. You had to sit up straight and really, ride. And then in Macbeth, Texas in 1980, I got my collarbone broke and didn't get my skull fractured, but I got a good hit in the head and wrenched my knee.
Ooh.
And for 23 years of rodeo, I think I was quite fortunate. Those were the only two major accidents that I really had. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Phillips?
Well, yeah, I had a dislocated shoulder, and it happened in Macbeth, Texas. I was in the bareback riding and jerked my shoulder out of socket, and I made the whistle and everything, and it's hard to get off on Pickett, man, with one arm, one hand, trying to get your hand out the rig, So, but that happened to me a couple of times, so I had to get it fixed. And that's a painful feeling.
Okay.
Painful.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something? You
Go
hear
ahead.
people saying Macbeth, that's all you hear. Back in the days when we came along, the blacks could not rodeo with the white. We had 3 or 4 rodeo pins that we go through, and you hearing people say Macbeth. Why Macbeth? Had Macbeth, the old Diamond Ale Ranch on South Main, Macbeth, Dickinson, Texas, and Kellerton, Texas. At the time, you couldn't rodeo with the whites back in the day.
Why?
Egypt, Texas.
Why?
They wasn't accepting black cowboys. I think Murtis Dykeman might have been the one that really broke the ice.
Yeah, he was the Jackie Robinson.
The Jack Robinson for black cowboys.
Okay.
But a cowboy, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead
A
on.
cowboy before him that never got the
I
recognition.
know my dad was one of them. That's what I'm
Yeah,
just going to say.
Sherman Richardson.
My dad, Sherman Richardson,
And Willie
was
Tonte, you go ahead.
one of the first actual black cowboys to ride in from what my mom and my dad and my uncle and them told me, that my dad was one of the first black cowboys to ride in Madison Square Garden and actually win. But back then, they could not give it to them.
That's so true.
Also, my dad was at a rodeo one time, and there's this white guy who told my dad that that black bull was over there, that he should go ride it. It was his daddy. And my dad somehow ended up drawing that bull and rode that bull and won on that bull. So there was a lot of cowboys out there. That's why I say we want to give them their credit.
Good credit, yeah.
And let them the credit be due. Is there anything anybody else want to say?
But you know,
Yes,
going
sir.
back further, way back
Mm-hmm.
to the West, you know, they don't portray black cowboys. But that's all it was, is black cowboys, Indians, and Mexicans. Because it was a tough job. And I mean, that was the cowboys.
Cowboy came from where? Where did that word come from? Anybody
Being
knows?
Black.
It was cowboy. That's what it was.
And back during slavery,
There
when they
we
were
go.
going to buy the slaves, the owner would tell them, you know, get the boy, the one that were cow. And that's why the word cowboy really come from being black, because the whites were called ranch hands. And now it's cowboy, and it's stuck. But it come from being black.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about this cowboy named, was it the Bill Pickett that bit the
Bill
thing on the nose or the ear or whatever it is? Huh?
Yeah.
Bit him in the lip.
Bit him in the lip. I bet his wife made before he come home. But they don't do that anymore when they to bring it down. They don't actually bite it on the lip. No more. How do they get it down?
Well, I mean, you know, they call it bulldogging now. Still wrestling now, it's still wrestling. Back then it was bulldogging, it still was called bulldogging. But actually, you know, when you catch the steer and in the way Bill Pickett did it, and you just turned the steer head up when he caught it and just bit him in the lip, he had him halfway up, and he just fell with him. And the steer, the lip, I guess, is real, you know, sensitive or something, you know. And then, you know, once you get the head up far enough, the steer will fall. So that's how Bill Pickett named it bulldogging.
But in today's sport, it's an event
Right.
in the rodeo.
Yeah.
It all came from Bill Pickett. Yeah. But then,
And also with the steer wrestling, you got a wrestling hold. When you come out of the saddle, you get what you call a full Nelson. And then when you get ready to throw him, you move into a half Nelson. And that's twisting his neck and letting him fall till all 4 feet come out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have anything else to say? Because there's a question that I want to ask each individual who can answer it. I would like for you guys to take a few minutes or seconds to talk to the people out there who want to become cowboys, who want their children, if the children wants to become cowboys, to let them know that it's easier said than done. It takes dedication. Parents, if your kids want to be a cowboy or cowgirl, don't tell them that you can't do that. Don't do that. Don't take that from them. So what advice could you give them? I would like to start with Mr. Phillips, and we're going to end with Mr. Cash.
Well, if you have kids that like horses and stuff, encourage them. You know, if they like rodeos, they like, you know, anything about animals and stuff, you know, encourage them. It's, you know, you don't want to discourage them. So, if, you know, just, you know,
Okay.
they like to rodeo. I mean, if they like horses and they like sports, stuff like that and sports, go for it.
Okay, Mr. Boone?
Yes, I'd agree. And I'm a big advocate of the college system. If you have a child that's really interested in rodeo and learning about the event, I would suggest that they could go into agriculture, you know, after they really test the waters and see if they actually want rodeo.
Okay.
But you can go into agriculture, they stepped the game up so much now, and for any young lady that's really interested, they started having breakaway roping in the professional rodeos now, and that is a really solid way for a young lady that's really interested in riding horses and going to school and gaining a scholarship and an avenue to the pros.
Okay.
And they are paying great money now.
Okay. Mr. Stevens?
Well, like Bubba said, try and get a scholarship. I mean, that's how I went to McNeese State
Okay.
on a full rodeo scholarship. But to get started, I mean, it's a little tough because everything is around the city now. But I would say, go to your stables, or if you have a stables around, or just call around, to just let the child ride and get,
Yes.
some horsemanship.
Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. Cash?
What I would say the horsemanship, but if you gonna let them rodeo, try to encourage them to go to college. But when somebody said, I believe it Boom, about the breakaway roping now, see, we got young black kids that's barrel racing, but ladies that's barrel racing and good at it. But you have to have that $50,000-$60,000 horse, and like a good avenue will be the breakaway that's coming up. It's going there and they making millions. Breakaway, all you need is a horse that can break. You're roping a calf, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. That's our problem with some of our people.
Exactly.
It's hard to get that much money
it's
to
so
support them. But anybody that's gonna do it, please go to somebody's rodeo school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have another question. Watching the rodeos, hey, these women is moving up. They riding bucking bulls and stuff now.
Yeah.
So I don't know about y'all cowboys, but these cowgirls coming on up. So what do you guys think about that? About the cowgirls? And we will start with this way for Mr. Cash and end up with Mr. Phillips.
We had that back then. Smitty Johnson, he's already gone to that big rodeo in the sky now.
Yes, sir.
He had first all women rodeo with all blacks that people rode in. Miss Pat Hayden, she was the bull riding champion.
Wow.
The Bill Pickett Rodeo Association flew her to Denver, Colorado to get on a bull. Pat Hayden wanted that. We had a whole lot of just local people that got on bulls. May Lee, Blue Sister rode. We just had so many of them that was riding.
But see, nobody knows about that because we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about it and let the children know.
That's it.
Okay, so is that you think that's a good thing?
That's a good thing. Some of them got broke up too on their first ride,
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Stevenson?
Like on the professional level, the WPRA
Exactly.
has all women's rodeo, and they do everything. They compete and do everything. At what was the Canadian rodeo that just went? They just had Calgary. They had the women's bronc riding, and
They were riding them, huh?
they were riding them, but those horses were busting them down pretty good. But
What do they have to stay on the same 8
No,
seconds?
no.
There's a 6 seconds, aren't they?
There's a 6
There's 6
seconds,
seconds, yeah. Okay, Mr. Boone?
Yes, women have been riding. Even if you see some pictures of the Pendleton Roundup back in the day, and you had women bronc riders, and like Leg said, the WPRA, they've been holding women events since the 60s, I know.
Wow.
But yeah, they ride broncs and bulls, I think, with two hands.
Wow.
And it's a big sport, I mean,
Yeah.
it really has evolved, and you do have all women events.
Okay. Mr. Phillips?
Well, I mean, if that's what a woman wants to do, let them do it. I mean, they pretty good at it, from what I've been seeing. I don't, they like it, everybody else like it, so
Okay.
let them do it.
No.
Mr. Stevenson? Miss Molly? Would that be your Grandmother? No, not your aunt. I know the aunt.
Oh,
The other Miss Molly.
yeah, that was my grandmother.
I think I met her one time. She drove a wagon. I think she was on a trail ride or something.
Yeah, that was, she
somewhere.
was a pistol.
But you have longevity as far as the rodeo history with your family. It dates way back.
Way back.
So that was in your blood to be rodeo, like you were almost pruned.
We had, back in the 60s, I would say, yeah, the 60s, we had a sky ranch. They had an airport and a rodeo pen.
Yeah.
And the Tuskegee Airmen would come to the place, and they'd land there, but we also had the rodeo pen there. It's called Sky Ranch.
Wow.
But we had, we raised cattle, and we ranched.
Well, now, Mrs. Molly, what's the name of those cows she got? Jerseys?
She's got Watusi.
Watusi. I could never get this name. Watusi cows.
Yeah.
That's not something you're gonna see every day.
No, we they're more of a eye piece, a show.
Now, are those the ones with those big old long horns?
The big horns, yeah.
But they don't use those in the rodeos.
No.
Those are just.
They're just more or less a,
Okay. Well, here's something that I wanted to know, and don't y'all laugh at me. Why don't they ride the Buck and Clydesdales horses?
Well, they breed them to quarter horses, and they make good saddle bronc horses because they're big.
Yeah.
Yeah, they buck them.
They really, I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
I would see these big old Clydesdale horses, and I'm like, now I wonder if they put them in a rodeo and put a saddle on that thing now with that thing
yeah.
bucking. Who could ride on that thing? That's like trying to ride a dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
You're telling about in the breed, they'll breed this big Clydesdale with another horse and they make good saddle bronc horses, but not the big Clydesdale by itself.
Right.
But they breed them with the other horses. They put the big horse, yeah.
Okay, anybody has anything else to say?
Well, let's give a lot of credit to the Bill Pickett Rodeo Association that's working with black kids.
Tell us about it.
Bill Pickett Rodeo Association, it was formed years back by a guy named Luverson. He passed away.
Yeah.
But Bill Pickett Rodeo is helping a lot of young black kids that's coming along. You got rodeo families that's in there.
Well, I think all cowboys, if you see a kid that wants to learn about rodeo and this stuff, take the time to talk to that kid, but also always make sure that kid go talk to their parent first. Don't let a kid come up to you, and I've said this before, kids, don't go up to a cowboy, Mister, can I ride your horse? These cowboys take good care of their horses. Their horses mean a lot to them. It's very expensive taking care of their horses. Go talk to your parent and ask your parent, Mom, I saw this cowboy and I want to know if I can get on his horse. Bring that parent with you. We don't want no misunderstanding about the kid on the horse. We don't want the kid to get hurt. Parents, also, if your kid thinks they want to become a cowgirl or a cowboy, take them around a real horse. They're looking at stuff on TV. Take them in person. If that kid say, Mom, I want to get on that horse, ask that person. If that kids get on that horse and they still want to go to that next step, go to that next step. But never tell your kid what they cannot be. If that kid want to be a rodeo cowboy, let them. We would not have Fred Winfield if we felt that way.
Yes.
That's true.
There's a lot of good cowboys out there, and a lot of them have went in different ways because somebody said, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can do what you want to do. You can be what you want to be. If you feel like that cowboy mentality is in you, I say ride until you can't ride no more. Let no one tell you any different. Be the best that you can be. Soar, my friend, soar. Ride off into the sunset. Ride as far as you want to go and let no one tell you any different. If anybody would have told these cowboys anything different, look at all this greatness that I'm sitting around. I would not have this greatness here. And I tell you, these cowboys that I have sitting around me today have so much history. If you see them out in the public, they're very approachable. They'll talk to you. They'll explain it to you. I thank them so much for coming out and explaining things to me. So from my right to my left, I'm going to let them say whatever their heart wants them to say. Mr. Cash, or either we can start on this side. Let's start on this side, and we'll let Mr. Cash finish it out. Mr. Phillips.
Well, like rodeos, I mean, you know, if you like the sport, go for it. Don't tell your children to, you know, don't try to turn them away from it or nothing like that. And you have a lot of people out here that would help them.
Okay, Mr. Boone.
I want to give a shout out to Mr. Cleo Hearn. He started the Cowboys of Color and took the black rodeo to a higher level, as well as Lou Vasson and the Bill Pickett Rodeo Association. He came in with a lot of sponsors like the Professional Rodeo Association, and he upped the money for black cowboys back in the, what was it, 70s? Yeah, 70s. But those two guys there were very instrumental in upping the money for the black rodeo cowboys.
Okay, Mr. Stevenson.
I just want to go back to like a little history.
Go ahead.
You know, people are always so surprised when they see a black cowboy. A black cowboy. You know, it's not no black cowboys. Sure, it's black cowboys. You know, you just have to, I don't know, it's kind of frustrating, you know, when people come up and say, man, I've never seen a black. Well, they're everywhere. You just got to open your eyes.
Exactly.
You know, we don't get the recognition that you should get. It's just a little frustrating. I don't know. It's just.
Okay, Mr. Cash.
When I first went to Chicago, to the amphitheater, there was a big sign when we were coming into Chicago. It said the Black Cowboy, the forgotten man of the West. And that's what it was. Like Mr. Stevens said, 1 in 4 cowboys out there on that range was black or Hispanic.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I grew up, all I knew was the Lone Ranger and Roy Rogers. You know, and I was getting my mom a broom, got a lot of women behind, and I would want to be the Lone Ranger.
You want
and
to be the
Roy
Lone
Rogers.
Ranger.
Yeah. So it's out there now. Any person, whatever you want to do, believe me, you can do it. Charlie Sampson never came from a rodeo family. He's the first black to ever win the whole world in 1982.
How did that make you feel?
Made me feel great to find, because I was in a little town in East Bernard, Texas, and I heard a white guy use that N word, but he would say, yeah, this guy, Willie Thomas, I didn't know, he was a pretty good, but black man would never win a world championship, but he used that N word, and that always stuck with me.
Right.
To see somebody win it like Charlie Sampson was the first, that was something.
We can do it.
We can do it.
We can
and
do
anybody, kids or anybody, you can do anything in life that you want to do.
Set your mind to.
But number one thing, put God first.
Yep.
There it is.
And
There it is.
it'll happen.
There
Put
it
God
is.
first. Yep.
It'll happen.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Go ahead.
What was the black sheriff back in the day? That was really the Lone Ranger.
Bass
Bass
Reeves.
Bass Reeves. Yeah.
That was the Lone Ranger.
That was.
Bass
See how that
The real.
all happened. Him and his boss, they were playing poker, that I heard. And him and his boss man got into an argument on a hand that he know he had won. He hit his boss man and rolled him and got up and ran, had the blacks and the whites going after him. He said, hey, let him go. He going the wrong way. He not going to make it. He going out there with the Indians. He went out and made friends with the Indians. He came back 5 years later to see was his mother still living. Came back with an Indian guy, and he didn't want nobody to notice him, so he came back with a mask. And that's why they got the real long
All
run.
right.
As long as it was a radio station, it was good. But when it came to TV, they couldn't let it be a black man.
Right.
All right.
They got a big stature right now in Arkansas. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's my wrap up and my cue. We're going to be ending this show, and I want to thank all these Cowboys for coming out and being with me today. Mr. Sammy Phillips, Mr. Bubba Boone, Mr. Ben Stevenson, and Mr. Harold Cash. And I tell you, like I said before, this is the second of many to come. Look forward for the Cowgirls. Remember, Cowboys don't die. They never die. They just fade away and ride off into the sunset. But they're still there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and once again for another Candi's production. Anything y'all want to say?